there's a possibility that we could be looking at DeBoer wondering if he's the long-term answer at coach for the Tide?
I'm starting to feel like Alabama, I can't believe I'm saying this, Craig, is a sleeper. Fourth easiest schedule in the SEC this year. Ryan Williams is back. I think the friendly, these early season games against Florida State and Wisconsin, that is friendly for Alabama.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
So you're going to have the suck uniforms the entire season, but 3 games will give you with the best uniform. Those are the issues I have. The powder blues out for the Chargers. That should be every game. The Miami Dolphins old uniforms that they throw it back to. That should be your uniform, not the trash you wear now. The Patriots. You ever see them throw back with a little football player in the helmet? It is beautiful. But let's keep the trash uniform.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Things you have to look at is what the team has the following day, especially when it comes to bullpen usage. A lot of the things I like to attack is you see these extra inning games, these games get drawn out, these bullpens get worn, or if someone gets shelled the first 3 innings and they got to go to the pen, early, that's a good spot to kind of hop in the middle of the next game. You got a tired bullpen, right? You try and take advantage there, maybe with an over, maybe with the money line. You're getting plus money on a favorite at that point.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Hey everybody, welcome to Monday. This is in-game live game day here on SportsGrid. Don't worry if you tuned in looking for Sports Rage. We haven't sent Gabe out to pasture or anything like that, but he's not here this week. Well, he may be here this week, but Sports Rage isn't here this week. I'm here, Adam Kaufman, George Kurtz, my partner in crime, Monday to Friday this week. But we may, George, hear from Gabe Morency along the way, and we hope we do, because honestly, if someone is going to be sitting here picking fights with the CFL, it's probably not going to be me or you. We need Gabe for that.
Yeah, it was kind of funny with Gabe at his wedding had the CFL game on and wanted to retweet and they wouldn't give it to him. Listen, if you watch Sports Rage, you follow Gabe on Twitter. We all know where Gabe is. He's in Montreal with his band Homicide as they're playing this week. So best of luck to Gabe. Hope it goes well here. And I imagine he will join us at some point this week. Cam is also on vacation, by the way, for those wondering. So it's Adam Kaufman and I see if we can keep the show going here.
And we'll have some familiar names and voices appear on this show that you are used to seeing on Sports Rage and just in general across SportsGrid. So we thank you for watching, listening, however you are consuming this show. We've got you for the next 2 hours. Now, George, in the spirit of it being in-game live, let's get into some in-game betting opportunities here, because we got roughly a half dozen baseball games that are still going on. One that has not even yet begun. That's about 10 minutes out. We'll get there. But as far as the games that are in progress, you have the Braves taking care of the Giants 9-4. It's top 9. And San Francisco obviously down to its final outs with 5 runs in need. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Braves are on their way to what would be an upset win tonight. The White Sox, how about those scorching hot Chicago White Sox all over the Tampa Bay Rays right now? 8-3, bottom 7. Rays trying to chip away. They do have a man on. The Royals have come from behind and are now doubling up the Cubs 8-4, and that one is at the end of 7. So the Cubs, who I am on tonight, running out of time. That's not great for me. Mid-7, so if you want to get up, stretch, just any of that. Rangers, 5-2 lead at home against the Athletics. That one is in Texas. Cardinals, They are in the process of tacking on some more in Colorado, up 4-2 right now. Runners at the corners, one down, top 6. Top 2, meanwhile, the Astros are trying to even up the Diamondbacks, already trailing in that one, 1-0. That is in Arizona. Brewers, Mariners, scoreless, top 3. And still to come, George, we've got the Twins at the Dodgers with Shohei Ohtani on the mound for LA, obviously his first start out of the All-Star break. So, first and foremost, anything, I know a lot of these games are pretty lopsided. And by the way, Matthews, a home run for Houston. So Astros just went up 3-1 in that game in Arizona. Anything you'd be compelled to jump in on right now?
Well, jump in on, I mean, you said it, Braves Giants is over. It's over for betting purposes. It's all locked. You can't get in there. White Sox Rays, that's a loser for me. What am I going to do? Go plus 10-60 and hope the Rays can come back. You mentioned the White Sox are not only playing better, the Rays are not playing well at all here. They've fallen 7.5 games out here. They're actually behind the Red Sox now as well. Kansas City, Chicago. Actually, I'm going to win that. I think I'm going to win that game. We'll knock on wood. Going to leave that alone. Athletics, Rangers. No, thank you here. Cardinals, Rockies. I took the under of 11.5 here. Small play, just more of a. It was more of a, I don't think these two teams would score a lot of runs tonight. I think I'm just saying I have the game 4-2, and now it's 5-2 Cardinals. So they're scoring runs here in the 6th. I am not happy about this. They're up to 12.5 now on the total. I mean, if it was 11.5, I could think about taking it over and middle it and just, take my just lose the vig here. But no, I'm on the Diamondbacks already against the Astros, so not all that thrilled about that 3-run home run here. Brewers, Mariners, I on the under. No shock, that great pitching matchup for the night, right, with Kirby versus Woodruff here. So we're on the under there. So nothing that I'm really dying to get in game here. Not right now.
George, the Rays were more than 2-1 favorites going into this game today, and just, I didn't see an edge in this game. It didn't feel right, because normally, I mean, you and I are kind of wired the same way. There are a couple of favorites you like that, you see something north of minus 200 on either side or somewhere in that vicinity. Maybe you want to parlay them together, get yourself even or plus money, and if you can find, again, a dance partner, as you like to put it, then great, let's do it. But Tampa just, because I thought about putting Tampa with Philadelphia, and the more I looked at it, the more I honestly just wanted to bet Philadelphia straight, which is exactly what I did, and I'm happy I did it. But I got to ask you, because I know you were dialed into this. I don't know about the people out there watching or listening. Have you ever seen a game end on a quote-unquote walk-off catcher's interference play on a take? Guy didn't even swing, but on the take, nipped the glove of the catcher on the check swing, catcher's interference, walk-off win for the Philadelphia Phillies. The last time this had happened, I had never seen this. The last time that it happened in Major League Baseball was before I was even alive. It was 1971.
So that sort of answers your own question, right? No, I haven't seen that. It hasn't. That was 1971. I was 2. Okay, 2 in 71. So no, I think the first baseball game I can remember watching would be 76. The Chris Chambliss home run for the Yankees, the first one that comes to mind for me there. So yeah, I knew about the stat as well that it was 71. Dodgers, I believe, were the team, one of the teams playing there. It's a weird little thing here. It's funny though. I did see a catch interference. The same thing happened. It might have been in a Yankee game on a check swing. It didn't end the game though, but we don't see many catch interference as it is. And now we're seeing it more and more. Some people think it's because of how the catches are setting up. With that leg on one leg and the legs hanging out there far wide. I think it's good, and they're trying to reach to get the ball sooner there to sort of frame it there. So I think that's why we're getting more catch interference. So no, I don't think anybody in this network has seen one before. I mean, listen, there could be somebody in the audience who's older than I am who did see that game. But even then, it's not like you had access like we have now where we can watch all the games.
Right.
All right. So you would have to be living, I imagine, in the LA area, just happen to have the game on TV, and you saw it. But no, I did not see it.
Twins Dodgers just getting underway here. Final game of the night, obviously. Do you have a play on this one?
Yeah, I think Dodgers get back. All right, Ohtani's as the starter here. He's not going to go deep into the game. We know that. Robert said maybe 3 innings, so that's the best we can get from him. I think they'll get the faster. I think Ohtani will pitch well here, so I do like the Dodgers on the money line. All right, they're going to win. I think they'll win by a couple of runs here. Adam, The Dodgers are not the Dodgers that we were hoping for. Said this on the in-game live with Joe Madden and Scott Wetzel. Mookie Betts is not Mookie Betts, right? He's batting something like 180 really since July, right? He's not hitting his bat speed. Is not very good, but his bat speed has never been at the top of the league, right? He's always had a slow bat speed here, but he looks like a shell of his former self. They're not going to defend him now. Oh, yeah, we're going to keep him in his spot here. We're not going to bench him, that sort of thing. They did give him a mental break on Saturday. Max Muncy, they're not getting him back until 3 more weeks at the earliest here, right? So he's got Freddie Freeman. He's been 200 since June. He's not batting well either. He is in a lineup tonight after getting hit in the wrist last night there. Teoscar Hernandez hasn't done anything since April here. This team is being carried by Ohtani, Will Smith, who generally second half doesn't do as well as the first half, and Andy Paz. That's it. This is not the team we thought they were going to be, and they're not going to replace Betts. They're not going to replace Freeman. I don't know how much better they're going to get offensively at the trade deadline, which is now 10 days away.
The 2 most popular public plays today by far, the Rays against the White Sox, doesn't look like that one's coming through, and these Dodgers at home tonight, obviously in this game against the Twins. And look, I like Ohtani, even if he does only go 3, I think 4 maybe is a possibility. That'll depend on pitch count, but I like him first 5. I like him full. Give me the Dodgers tonight. Home team, I don't want the run line. More with Kurtz, his cousin homered earlier today.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
IGL Game Day here, back with Kurtz, Kaufman with you, and already, I tell you, I like the Dodgers money line. I like the Dodgers first five. I don't even think I got the sentence out before the break, before a leadoff home run out of Buxton, who, of course, as we know, was part of the All-Star festivities, the home run derby, George. So I don't know if you were invested in him tonight, or how, you spread your board as far as the prop market goes beyond sides and totals, but Buxton helping the Twins out to a 1-0 lead. They are still batting, and nobody on, but still batting, and again, up 1-0 in LA.
Of course they are. All right. If they were going to score, I would not expect it to be against Ohtani. He was really hoping they get through 3 innings of him, shutout ball here. Listen, a 1 run's fine. So if he still gets through the next 3, no big deal here. I have nothing on Minnesota tonight. The team doesn't score a lot of runs here. Just lost 2 out of 3 to Colorado. No. Outside of Joe Ryan, I'm not so sure I care about anybody on Minnesota. Another team, we'll see what they do at the deadline there. So a little disappointing here that it's already 1-0, something we don't want to see here that you and I are both on. And me personally, I'm on the run line. So I really need the Dodgers to pick it up a little bit. I didn't want to lay low. I think it was 168 on the money line here. So I took the run line plus 114.
I mentioned, George, that the Cubs were up on the Royals, not too long ago. And right now, Kansas City is just putting it on. It's 11-4, top 8. Bases are loaded for the Royals right now with only 1 out and Bobby Witt at the plate. So this potentially could get really ugly, obviously. Already has me kind of thinking to tomorrow. And I hate that now it's 12-4. I hate that I was wrong about this spot because I did really like the Cubs tonight. But you got Boyd on the mound tomorrow, and we'll have more time as the show goes on to look ahead to the Tuesday slate. But I don't know, at a certain point, when games get this ugly, this lopsided, and, oh, by the way, you've got the better team that is on the losing end, doesn't pride, I know this is real narrative street of me, but doesn't pride become a factor in the conversation? Like, I'm ready to, it doesn't even, Boyd's good. He is good, but doesn't even have to be Boyd. You could have told me you were pitching, and I'm ready to blind bet the Cubs tomorrow.
I tore my labrum many decades ago, so I'm not doing any pitching anytime soon. I don't know who's pitching. I haven't looked at the board yet tomorrow, so I don't know who's pitching for the Royals tomorrow. I mean, that's going to play a part in this as well.
ESPN has it as undecided, so we'll see.
Undecided probably means I'm not going to be betting on the Royals tomorrow, right? Because it's not like they have a wealth of starting pitching that if they're not going to go one of their guys here. If it's not Lugo, if it's not Bubik, we know it's not going to be. Cameron, I think, actually went tonight. And I know it's not Reagan's isn't coming back yet. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty good bet. And Boyd's been good anyway, so he has been really good find for the Cubs there. I still think the Cubs need to find another pitcher at the deadline, by the way. I think they need to go have a little chat with the Miami Marlins here, see if they can get Eduardo Cabrera from them. I don't know if Alcantara is going anyway. He just hasn't been very good where he's going to get the kind of value that the Marlins are going to want here. But I'm with you. I'm not going to do it tonight here, but, that's another interesting talking topic. Maybe we should bet the Cubs tonight because that price could get much higher if we don't. Especially if they're going to throw some minor leaguer or go to bullpen game or some schlub out there. The price we're paying now, I'm trying to look it up here. I don't see it. I guess because this game's not over yet.
I got to look to see if it's posted as well. Let's see.
It's not there yet.
I'll tell you. Check the
I don't
board
have it on
here.
FanDuel. I don't think it's there because the game's not over yet. They're probably waiting for this game to end.
It's not on FanDuel. You're right about that. I want to see if it's posted anywhere else though. Yeah,
because I think that's the way to. I think that is the way to play it here. Where we take them. We take the Cubs tomorrow. Like I said, I wouldn't call it a blind bet, but I think that's the way to go. Plus, they're a damn good team anyway. And Kansas City's been been a little disappointing this season, and they may end up trading away some plays at the deadline as well.
Right now, Milwaukee and Seattle, it's, pitchers duel, bottom 3. The Mariners are batting, have a man on, 2 out. Part of the reason, obviously, that the juice is so heavily towards Seattle at right around minus 150 on FanDuel is that runner on. So you could wait out this inning. If he doesn't, now he's in scoring position, but if he doesn't come in to score and we're still scoreless through 3, we can see what the line movement is there. I assume it becomes a little bit closer anyway to a pick 'em than where we sit at the moment. But anything with this game, in addition to obviously a plummeting total, I mean, we still have 6 innings to go in this game, George. And I'm looking at a live line of 4.5.
Well, the thing is, this is the pitching matchup of the night, right? You got Kirby versus Woodruff. We didn't expect a lot of runs. It started at 7. And generally, Adam, once again, I saw 6.5 the other day. I'm taking the over. It's not principle. It's about how much I'm going to put there. I did take the under tonight. I really didn't see either one of these two teams scoring tonight all that much. I mean, what is it at now you're talking about? What does it drop down to? 4.5. So 5 runs. We have a runner on second base here. 2 outs, 2 strikes.
No, so the inning just ended.
Yeah, it's over.
Inning just ended. It's that. Yeah, so that puts us at, by the way, minus 102 for Milwaukee, minus 125 for Seattle.
It's 4.5, and it's even both ways. Minus 114 either way here. I still kind of lean towards Seattle, which is where I played pregame, and I took the under. So I don't think I'm going to go back in. I don't feel great about this one way or the other. I'm not paying attention to it. Remember, Seattle bullpen, very good. Just because you get Kirby out of there doesn't mean Milwaukee's going to start hitting here. And Milwaukee's bullpen's not terrible. I mean, it's a solid bullpen. So I don't know if we're going to get the 5 runs here. I don't.
I want to going back to that Twins and Dodgers game, just looking at the line movement here. Now, I'm on LA tonight. You're on LA tonight. Let's just pretend you're not, and you are simply looking at value. Minnesota is up 1-0 in this game. Now, it's the first inning. There's a long, long way to go. But they are up in this game, and you can still get plus 144 on FanDuel to go with the team that is leading. Any interest if you didn't already have something in pocket?
I'm more annoyed because let's say I didn't have the Dodgers in this game. I'd want them now. They're trailing 1-0. How is the price worse? I mean, how does that make any sense? Because they have a man on first. But they're still down a run. Right. I mean, this doesn't make any sense to me. The price is worse than the pregame, and they're down a run. This is nuts. Yeah. Both ways, by the way, both the run line and the money line. That's crazy. I was hoping it'd be a better price, and I would double back on the Dodgers.
We've got plenty more coming up for you throughout this show. A couple of guests. We'll get into a lot of football talk. George and I, if you joined us in the past, you know that we've been playing with a new market available for the NFL season on FanDuel. I've done some research into that. I know, George, this has become a Tetris-like puzzle obsession of his. We will dive
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single-season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm like praising the Lord. Win a parlay. Come on, we're allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather. It's okay if you hit a parlay, yes, but if you win the match, no. The player can't do that. The bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
TJ Watt going to the bank.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then in the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
George, especially you being a Yankee fan, I don't know how big a movie guy you are, but you being a Yankee fan, and no, I'm not about to ask you about like 42 or something like that. You remember the movie The Scout? Al Brooks, Brendan Fraser, probably 30 years old or close to it at this point.
Wouldn't be one of my top 10 baseball movies, but I saw it, but it wouldn't be one of my top 10 baseball movies.
No, I'm not sure it would be a top 30 baseball movie, not even close. But I bring it up because, as we remember, he was a pitcher and hitter. He was Shohei before Shohei. Goes out and at the end of the movie, spoiler alert for a movie that probably came out in like '93. Goes out and he I think he had a no-hitter, struck out probably 20 guys. Only run of the game was him hitting a home run. It was that kind of thing. Well, Shohei doing Shohei things. We are only one inning into this game in LA. Shohei has pitched an inning, given up 2 hits, of course, the 1 home run to Buxton, but he struck out 2 guys. And then comes to the plate in the bottom half of the inning after Mookie Betts got on. Boom, 2-run homer. So Shohei Ohtani with 2 Ks and a home run, 1 inning into this thing, the Dodgers up 2-1. And now, I know you're on the Dodgers, I'm on the Dodgers. If anyone else wanted to get in on the Dodgers at this moment, minus 310 on FanDuel on the money line.
That's still nuts, by the way, that price. I wanted to double down on them, and I couldn't believe it was worse than the pregame. Going to be 130. I was going to go in there, but whatever. Spilt milk, can't cry about it. Now, I'll take the Dodgers win. All right, just win by 2 runs. I'm not asking for much here, which I think they'll take care of tonight. I just have a feeling this might be their breakout night. They were close to winning that game yesterday. They had the bases loaded in the 9th inning. Probably not the guy they wanted at the plate, Mookie Betts, but he hammered one, unfortunately, right at the center fielder. So maybe that's a sign of things to come here. But I think with Ohtani on the mound faster, Posey and the Twins don't hit all that much. It felt like a good night for the Dodgers to figure things out.
Steve Nebraska, by the way, was Brendan Fraser's name in that movie. That was the infamous Yankee pitcher, Steve Nebraska. What a good sports, good athlete name. I don't know about baseball. Feels like a different sport, but hey,
what a completely made up name. So, have you ever heard anybody named Nebraska?
I mean, it's got to be what you think, like Nebraska doesn't exist as a last name. Period. It has to.
I imagine it does, but man, I've never heard anyone with the last name of Nebraska ever in any other than a movie. And I got a daughter named Dakota. So maybe I should be complaining.
Well, I will tell you this. According to AI here, there are no notable individuals widely known with the last name Nebraska.
There you go. There you go.
So there's a fun fact.
Mr. Nebraska.
Yeah, I was just, I'm surprised that Steve Nebraska didn't come up there as a known individual. Maybe because he's fake. And now I'm going down a rabbit hole of Nebraska
the movie was
facts.
That good.
You know the most famous Nebraskan? I bet you don't.
No.
Warren Buffett.
I'm not. Oh,
Warren Buffett, arguably the most famous person from Nebraska. You don't catch that on Sports Rage, do you? Yeah, he's doing all right. So the White Sox are up 8-3 in Tampa, and that is top 9. So matter of time there for the Rays to lose. Royals 12-4 lead, end of 8 in Chicago against the Cubs. So good night for one Chicago team, not so much in the Windy City for the other one. The Rangers have extended their lead 7-2 against the Athletics. Your stepson has homered for the Athletics tonight. Nick,
hit a double too.
To him. Yeah, good day. Not so much for the team, but good day for Nick. Cardinals 5-2 lead in Colorado, top 7. Bases are loaded, by the way, for the Cardinals right now with 1 out. Astros have taken a 4-1 lead in Arizona, bottom 3. Mariners, Brewers still scoreless, bottom 4. And we talked about the Twins and Dodgers. Shohei back on the mound with a 2-1 lead after helping his own case. But circling back to that Cardinals game very quickly here, it's now 6-2. The live total is sitting at 12.5, and there's heavy juice to the over, minus 144. So you have the bases loaded, 1 out, 8 runs in. You need 5 more to cash that. Any temptation?
probably not. I gotta tell you, this is I'm gonna lose this Colorado over, which I can't believe it. This was looking really good an inning ago. Now I'm getting crushed, so I'm not happy about this. Just sorry, pitcher got hit in the head with a ball, by the way. Luckily, I think it was a jam shot. And he looks to be okay, but that looked very painful. So no, I'm not feeling very in-game-ish right now.
Well, you are going to have to be, because Joe Madden is going to join us next. We will get her in-game perspective and maybe, just maybe, an early look at Tuesday.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single-season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm like praising the Lord. Win a parlay. Come on. We're allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather, it's okay if you hit a parlay, yes. But if you win the match, no. The player can't do that, the bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
TJ Watt going to the bank.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then in the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live game day here with George Kurtz, Adam Kaufman. We thank you for watching along here on SportsGrid. You may have seen, if you were watching earlier, me hop on the previous show or George hop on the previous show, and the person who was co-hosting that show is now joining us here. Joe Madden, who is a regular guest on Sports Rage. Of course, we're, for this week in the Sports Rage time slot here with Gabe Morency off and touring with his band, although we do hope to see Gabe at some point this week. Joe, look, I mean, we were just talking about this off air. May as well bring it on air, especially with all the baseball conversation. You've never seen Major League?
No, I've never seen Major League. I Googled it right away because sometimes images will spark my memory, and no, I've never seen Major League. So it's on my list.
You didn't even have an awareness?
No, I didn't. Okay, you guys have to remember I grew up in Australia, so then the TV is different over there, right? They're so far behind. So then when I moved over here, I missed out on a whole bunch of shows. Like, yeah, I apologize. I don't know what even to say. I'll watch Major League.
But how long ago did you move over this way?
Well, it was in the 2000s. So
But we've seen Field of Dreams.
So it wasn't like a week and a half ago? Like, you've had time.
I did have time. I don't even know. I've got no excuse for it. I'm not a big movie watcher, and I put a movie on and I absolutely fall asleep. Field of Dreams, though, was one my dad made me sit down and watch. He absolutely loved that movie, and he made me sit there and watch it, and I fell in love with it as well. So I'm glad he did. Obviously, he didn't like Major League, or for some reason, he missed out on it as well. I'll ask him tonight when I give him a call.
he probably felt it was not an appropriate movie to watch with his daughter. Maybe that's how.
Was it
I
not
don't know.
appropriate?
I'm not
Okay.
sure.
There's nothing bad in there. It's a comedy.
You know, well, I don't know how old she was when he would have considered watching it with her. I mean, look, I'm not ready to show my 12-year-old son Major League just yet, but I look forward to when I'm able to do so. Look, I mean, you just watch the first one, please. You know, you might even enjoy the second one. You don't need to watch the third one. Most people don't even know there is a third one, but you got to watch the first one.
Okay. Charlie Sheen's in it from what I see, right? In the
Yes,
picture?
that is correct.
Charlie Sheen, yes.
First two
Ricky
of them.
Vaughn.
Yeah. Ricky Vaughn. Rick Wild Thing Vaughn. I have his jersey.
Okay. It has 82% of Rotten Tomatoes. That's all I'm saying, you guys. So.
It's a good. I don't know why you can't let your son watch it. By the way, there's no sexual scenes in it. The language isn't bad, if
Yes, there is.
all. What's a sexual scene in it?
I mean, it's not. It's not. You don't see anything, but there's sexual inference. I don't want to talk about the movie
You can
when
see
Joe
that on
hasn't
an
seen
episode
it
of
yet.
Law and Order.
Well, he's not watching Law and Order either. He's 12.
Sit him down.
You know what I did?
You'll like the movie.
Just to go completely off the rails, though, you know what I did show him for the first time last night? Happy Gilmore. New one's coming out on Friday. I had to, get him ready.
That's a lot. If he can watch that, I'm pretty sure Major Leagues with the flying baseball on the front and the sunglasses will cover.
Thinking the same thing, but I'm not going to say anything.
Still an R rating versus a PG-13. Let's move on with our lives. It's fine. How did I come on here trying to give Joe a hard time, and somehow I wind up in the corner here, and I don't know how that happened. It's fine.
Well, I've got good news. Otani's already got 3 strikeouts on the board. So if you're rolling with him over the 3.5 strikeouts, you're almost there.
There you go.
Are you
How
on
much
the
do you
Dodgers
expect
with
him to
us?
pitch tonight?
Yeah, I'm on the Dodgers tonight. I think he'll go a little bit longer than expected. I think he'll come into the third and finish it out. So I played a ladder on his strikeouts. I did take him for the over 3.5 strikeouts, and then I laddered him to the 4+ strikeouts and the 5+ strikeouts, just hoping that we would see something more out of him in this one. But I'm not sure if we'll get to the 5+ strikeouts. I really doubt that we'll be able to get there. But the plus money was just too much for me to say no to. And I'm going to do that every time we see Ohtani come out to pitch, because he had 4 strikeouts the last time versus the Giants and he didn't stay in that game long. And I just expected him to come out strong. And yeah, I'm totally all over the Dodgers. I took their team total over 4.5 runs, expecting them to just really wake up after a hard series versus the Milwaukee Brewers.
Every series for the Dodgers has been hard right now. They're having trouble scoring runs there. So all 3 of us are on the Dodgers here. This is probably not good, by the way.
No.
Always worries me when we're all on the same team.
I never believed in that. I don't, I've got betting superstitions like anybody else. But the whole, if everybody's on it, I'm going to, if everyone's zigging, I'm going to zag. That doesn't mean anything to me.
No,
I've never bought into that. If I like a play, I like a play. I don't care what everybody's on. I like the Dodgers tonight, and it was a very public play. I didn't care for the Rays. That was a very public play. We're all adults. We can make our own decisions.
Are you sure we're adults? We've been arguing about Major League and Happy Gilmore. I'm not so sure we're putting the adult category right now.
We did talk about the Scout.
All right, the Scout, Field of Dreams. I mean,
don't waste your time on the Scout. You're good on that one.
No,
don't put the Scout on the list.
Don't do the Scout here.
Perfect.
Joe, you and I talked earlier. Listen, I don't even know who the Blue Jays are starting tomorrow, and I don't care. I'm betting the Blue Jays. They've won 11 straight at home. 5 of those wins are against the Yankees here. The Yankees are throwing. I got to be very careful with this name, Cam Schlittler. All right, be very careful. I don't care if I.
Did you want to spell it? Would that make you feel better?
I feel a little better. All right, I just want to make sure I throw the L in there at the appropriate spot. All right, or not forget the L. So, what are we doing tomorrow, Joe? We blindly going on the Blue Jays here.
I think we have to. You look at the Toronto Blue Jays, they will be sending Max Scherzer out from what I'm seeing. And I think they're able to come out and really quiet the Yankees bats. Again, the Yankees bats just haven't been hitting. And I was really disappointed to see them tonight. There was a couple times they had, a couple on base and they weren't able to bring those runners home. Even when it turned over to the bullpen, now Toronto's bullpen has been playing better and they do have definitely the edge there over the Yankees bullpen right now. And I just think the bats just aren't waking up for the Yankees. And we did see some great games this weekend out of the Yankees with that big comeback win that they had on Saturday. But Toronto is rolling way too hot for me to jump in front of. They're minus 118 on that money line. I'd almost look at a first 5 line if you're able to get it. We are starting to get those first 5 run lines up right now, laying a half a run coming in at plus 116 for the Toronto Blue Jays. And I think it's a solid way to go. 4 runs tonight, so 4-1 win for them. I think they can continue the hot streak here.
George, for the record, name's a name. Like if there's an L in there, that's great. But like, if you were doing shows back in the day when like Dick Butkus was playing football, you weren't going to not mention him just because of his silly name. If that beautiful dog of yours were a Shih Tzu, you're not going to pretend, you're not going to misidentify it, right? Like it is what it is.
Yeah, but it's a little different when you're conscious of it, and he's only made 1 major league start, so even I'm not sure what his name is. He only pitched the 1 game. It's a little different with certain people, Dick Butkus, Dick Allen back in the day. We can go on that all day. I was going to say another name,
sure.
But I'm not going to say this, but it's a legit name. Rusty, by the way, is his first name, but you can figure out the last name there for an old-time Detroit Tiger baseball player. But sure, they're legit names. But you know what? I can do enough to get myself in trouble. I don't need to hang more curveballs.
I remember Rusty, and I think it actually is pronounced a little differently. so there.
Yeah,
so
with a
there
Z,
that.
that's all it is. It's a Z.
Yeah.
But I'm not going in that direction here. Nope, not gonna happen.
Not happening.
You're worse than
We've been
Gabe.
canceled yet? We're here
I
all
feel
week.
like I'm back on Rage.
Yeah, see? We're trying to give people a rage-like feel, even though it is in-game live game day. The Brewers and the Mariners, Joe, we are looking at a scoreless game still, bottom 5, with a live total of 3.5. If I run your show, you would be saying, plus money to the over. You think we're getting 4 runs in this game? So I'll ask you, what do you think?
I'm not sure if we get those runs. Actually, I want to see this drop to 2.5 before I hit it to the over.
Well, if they get out of this inning without scoring, you might just see it. We'll be back. More with Joe Madden on the other side.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm like praising the Lord. Win a parlay. Come on. You're allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather. It's okay if you hit a parlay, yes, but if you win the match, no. The player can't do that. The bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
TJ Watt going to the bank.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then In the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
In-game live game day here on Sports Grid. Joe Madden is back with us, of course. You can check her out on Twitter at Joe Madden Sports. You can check out the Cup of Joe videos. Make sure you do, obviously. Get some daily sports betting advice from Joe. And again, we're keeping an eye on these games that are in progress here on the diamond. Sure enough, Joe, no runs in the bottom half of the fifth inning in Seattle. And so going top six now, still scoreless. The 2.5 is there, but oh my, there is juice. Minus 192 to the over.
Yeah, that's so much juice. I can't bet on that. The over 2.5 at minus 188. I'm seeing now it just dropped to, but I can't also bet that under 2.5. This one has the extra possibility of extra innings. So if we go to extra innings in this, then that 2.5, I feel like, is going to be blown out of the water. We've seen so many games like this. If that juice drops even to minus 140, that's where I'll hit on it. I know it's juicy and it's just climbing. It's minus 192 right now, but I do expect these guys to both get out of the sixth inning with this game still scoreless, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll get a better price on the over 2.5. But before this, I don't want to touch it at all.
Completely agree with you, Joe. So I'm looking at this as well here. We got minus 188 right now. So I want to get back in on this too and see if I can middle it, because I have the under 7 as far as pregame is going here. The other game we've been keeping an eye on is now 4-2. Houston's leading Arizona. Arizona scored a run, so they catch up a little bit. Did you have anything pregame on this one?
Yeah, I was looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks. I couldn't believe we could get them coming in, the Houston Astros coming in at plus 120 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. I just don't have that much faith in the Arizona Diamondbacks and their bullpen coming in this versus the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros were the team I trusted more. But at this point, I would be looking at the Diamondbacks to come back in and keep this within a tight game. I think plus 1.5 at plus 118 is a solid play for this game. And we've got already 6 runs, you guys. It's the top of the fifth. Only that over 10.5 definitely is interesting, but the juice, it's just not in my range. It's minus 152. Again, if this one drops, I won't hit it at the minus 140 mark, but if we see this drop down to a minus 110 or plus money to the over 10.5, if we go through this fifth inning and it doesn't move to a 9.5, that's where I'd jump on it. And I would, of course, jump on it at the 9.5, but not at the kind of juice we're laying on the 10.5.
You know, it doesn't feel like it, in part because he doesn't have a decision yet and the inning count is so low, but this is already the 6th start of the year for Shohei Ohtani since, of course, being reinstated as a pitcher to go along with all of his dominance as a batter. And he has pitched through 3 innings now, guys, which, of course, matches his season high, which, you know, going back almost 10 days, he did in a 2-1 win. Coincidentally enough, the same score of this game right now. A 2-1 win in San Francisco against the Giants, went 3 innings, scoreless, 1 hit allowed, 1 walk, those 4 strikeouts that Joe was talking about before. Here in this one tonight, he's through 3, 4 hits, a run, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Of course, that solo homer to lead off the game by Buxton, most notably 46 pitches thrown, which is, as we sit, a season high. His previous high was 36. In the last outing. Now, I thought if maybe he was 35 or so through 3, we could see him for a 4th inning. But, Joe, given that he is already approaching 50, you think he's done?
I hope not. Selfishly, I hope not, but I probably would expect them to yank him. It's really hard with what we're seeing out of Ohtani out here. They want his bat as well, and they need him in that lineup. So I do think they probably take him out here. I had the over 3.5, and I'm happy to hear Bunston was able to come out and get that home run. I missed that it was him. He was plus 235, so not great value for that home run, but really interesting when you looked at him versus NL opponents. When we've seen the Minnesota Twins as a dog, he really has stepped stepped up, able to get a home run in the last 4 in this sort of situation. So now it's the last 5 after tonight. So definitely something to watch with Bunston there. But I would think Ohtani's done. I hope he's not, but if he is done, can we get him for a run? Because Ohtani, we know when he's been batting or pitching, he just hasn't been getting those runs on the board as well.
That's what the Dodgers as a whole. They're not scoring for anybody here. And they, boy, Jerry Clayton Kershaw yesterday, he was not happy with that defense. That cost him, I guess, the team a chance at a win. He actually said it in the press conference, guys, I got to go. You're going to get me in trouble. All right, because he wanted I think the Dodgers have some issues right now is where I'm going at here. Now, Joe, I can't bet on it here in New York. They don't allow it here. Have you bet the MVP market at all in Major League Baseball?
I haven't. I actually haven't. I find the MVP market in Major League Baseball is just such a long season to tie up your money. And it's something that I was planning to jump into in August, start to look in August at those MVPs, because I feel a little bit more comfortable with my money only tied up for that kind of time span instead of July here. We've got so much that we need to start betting on, but August will be the time that I'll start looking at it.
All right. What about, just as we talk about the performances of some of these teams out of the break, Detroit has just continued to have a hard time scoring. You and I, we talked about that obviously on your show before we came on. You got my perspective, but I'll flip it on you. Are you worried about the Tigers, a team that right now continues to have the best record in all of Major League Baseball, is, right there among the favorites to win the World Series, but this is a team that offensively can't do anything at the moment?
They're in a slump right now, but you also look at the top 3 teams right now on FanDuel to take the World Series. It's the Dodgers. The Dodgers are having their struggles. They're at plus 220. Tigers at plus 750 and the Yankees at plus 750. We've got 3 teams that feel like they can't hit their way out of a paper bag right now. And I'm not worried at all. I think the Detroit Tigers will get out of the slump and be able to turn things around. But you got to look at the Chicago Cubs at plus 1,000 to take the World Series. I think a lot of people, including the books, are kind of sleeping on this team.
Phillies.
All right, very
Phillies.
good.
I like the
Phillies too. Plus 850.
Add some bullpen help, Philadelphia. Add some bullpen help. And I'm going to like the Phillies a whole bunch here. And Robertson's not enough, by the way. You got to add really a number 1 piece out in that bullpen.
Yeah, they're going to have to find a way to start to do something, especially when even Zach Wheeler is on the mound. You're not giving him anything, as was you had to rely on something we haven't seen in Major League Baseball since 1971 to win that game in extra innings against the Red Sox today. Joe Madden, thank you so much for hopping on with us. As always, get her on Twitter at Joe Madden Sports. Thank you.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single-season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm like praising the Lord. Win a parlay. Come on. You're allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather, it's okay if you hit a parlay, yes. But if you win the match, no. The player can't do that, the bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
TJ Watt going to the bank.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then In the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Boy, maybe we should have played that over 2.5, over 3.5, Milwaukee and Seattle, George, because just like that, the Brewers have taken a 3-0 lead in Seattle against those Mariners, top of the 6th inning. Live total has jumped up to 5.5, still juiced to the over, right around -120.
Yeah, what we saw here is that Kirby gave up his first hit of the game in this inning. All right, he had a no-hitter going into the 6th inning. He gave up a hit, and I don't know, Adam, did he lose the adrenaline, lose his focus a little bit? It was the 6th inning. That shouldn't bother to give up a hit. I don't think he had it in the 8th inning. All right, then the wheels are just falling off. All right, single, double. I just saw a shot off the center field wall here. I think they're taking him out now, or the inning's over. I don't know which. No, I think they're taking him out as they're going to a commercial. So Kirby, who was, like I said, rolling, and then the wheels fell off here. And actually, I'm sorry, he is still in the game, so they didn't take him out. There's the visited the mound here, but not going good. 3-0 Milwaukee here. I wasn't going to lay the -192. I needed this to happen an inning later. That's what I wanted here. Didn't get it.
Yeah, I had Milwaukee first 5 in this game, and it was scoreless, no harm, no foul. But look, we've all been there, right? Where you got a first 5 play, and either it falls apart for you in the 5th inning, and you're like, oh, you couldn't have done that the next inning, or you would have won it, but then like here come the runs in the 6th. These things, they happen all the time in baseball. What's funny though is, and I don't know if you do this, I know you're more of a full game bettor to begin with. I bet a lot of first 5s. I bet a lot of full games. I see people occasionally on the first 3 and the first 7 market. I never bet these markets, ever. And I'm wondering what the argument would be to do so in your mind.
I gotta tell you, I didn't even know these markets existed. First 5, I do play every now and then, but as you said, I am more of a full game player. I don't know why you would do first 7. All right, I can't think of a good reason for that. The first 3, I can understand. If you have a team that is good, or if you're going to get a good pitch, you got to hit them early. That's the old saying, right? So maybe you go for it there, before they get to a groove here. But I've never played that. I've never even seen it. I really heard anybody talk about it till you just said it here. So I imagine there's some strategy to it. I do, but it's like I said, I barely play first 5s, so I'm not going any lower to first 3, and I don't think I would ever play a first 7. Not unless, listen, if I thought the team was just going to destroy another team, okay, that could be a play. If I think you're going to win 9-0, you're going to beat the snot out of somebody, yeah, then I can see myself playing a bunch of first 3, first 5, first 7. That's the only time I can think about doing it. Milwaukee has scored again. As I mentioned, the wheels have fallen off for George Kirby.
Yeah, 4-0, 6.5 now, the live line. Do you think, I was talking about this with Brady last night, but you were the impetus of this conversation. Do you think that if you just, because baseball can be an incredibly stressful sport to bet, clearly. Do you think if somebody went into a full season, I would wonder what the data would show and whether there'd be any consistency year to year or if it's just completely all over the map. If you just blind bet any streak of 3+ games, winning or losing, for an entire year.
Way ahead. Because you can only lose once. Right? And if you did 3, I generally do 4. But if you do 3, you just won 8 straight times to the Toronto Blue Jays. Right? 8 straight times. There have been plenty of other streaks we've seen like this. Boston just won 10 in a row. That's 6 straight wins for you. All right. So yeah, I think I definitely listen. I have no data to back this up. All right. But I don't see how you're a loser. I don't. You can only lose once. And, well, by the way, we are assuming you put the same amount of money on each game. You're changing the money amounts, and of course, I don't know where we're talking about here. But yeah, I think you're a winner here. Now, I don't do it for every streak. I don't know if I know every streak, but I do it for a lot of streaks here because I just look at it, I can only lose once. And it seems very rare. Of course it happens, but it seems very rare that I lose first night. They lost that night, then it's over. And usually these streaks go on a bit, whether it's good or bad. If a team is streaking, they're winning, they're playing well, away they go here. And if a team is losing, They tend to lose more. I'm not saying I bet it every time. Like the Blue Jays, I'm blind. I'm blindly doing it. I don't care. They're just playing too well. But sometimes if I see, Team A that's winning a whole bunch of games, but, all of a sudden they call up some rookie who's terrible, and they're facing, Tariq Skubal, all right, probably not going to do that. Or it's going to be a much lower bet if I do want to continue it. Because I'm going to assume, okay, this is the night the streak is over.
It's practically August. I don't really want to start in on doing this now. The sample size is just too small. But next year, I might do it. I might only bet streaks the entirety of next year's Major League Baseball season just to see how it plays out. Because Lord knows what I'm doing on my own ain't working. So why not try something a little bit different?
That's funny.
With Kurtz, Kaufman here with you. 1 hour down, a lot of football on the way in hour number 2. Stay with us.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single-season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm like praising the Lord. Win a parlay. Come on. You're allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather, it's okay if you hit a parlay, yes. But if you win the match, no. The player can't do that, the bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
TJ Watt going to the bench.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then in the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Hour 2, halfway home, in-game live game day on SportsGrid, in for Sports Rage. Usually we say in for a host. We're in for a whole program. In for Sports Rage with George Kurtz. I am Adam Kaufman. We hope to hear from Gabe Morency at some point here during this week, and I think we will. Unfortunately, we will not hear from Cam Stewart. He is on vacation this week, so Cam, wish you well. Hope you're having a good time. We always enjoy chatting with you, so maybe next time. But George and I here with you, along with a slew of guests for the entirety of this week. We've been doing all baseball so far, George. Let's get into a little bit of football. When you and I worked together, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, we started talking about this new market that I just kind of stumbled upon on FanDuel when we were talking NFL one night, and it is in the win totals category. Most books, you'll just see win totals. This team's 8.5, this team's 6.5, this team's 11.5, whatever. FanDuel offers you an opportunity to go over or under on alternate wins. And what George and I discussed is, putting together a parlay, a win band, if you will. I'll random example. I'm building right now as we speak. Baltimore Ravens. You don't have every number available to you. For instance, I can't do anything that is not that I want to, but I can't do anything that is below 7.5. I can't, and I could take it all the way up to 15.5. But if I built something that is, let's say, over 9.5 and under 13.5. Okay, so I've got a 10 to 13 range right there where my bet would hit. That is a minus 125 bet. You could do that for any team that you want to. So what George and I started talking about is, boy, is this a smart bet? Is this a profitable bet? How close, how often does this actually hit to where, depending on what you think of a team, you can successfully invest in that range? So, George, using Vegas as a guide, I went and I did just a little bit of research. I didn't go year by year or give you a 10-year sampling or anything like that. So it's a very isolated case. I looked just at last year. I looked at win totals going into the year and how the team ultimately did. And I have to tell you, I was a little surprised by the results, and I'm curious if you will be as well. How many times do you think I ran into a situation where out of, what do we have, 32 teams in the NFL, is that right? How often, or 30, right? 5, 10, 52. Yeah, I think I don't, whatever it is. Oh, fours. Yeah, said 32. Brain is a mush right now. 32 teams. How many times out of 32 teams, George, do you think we saw a team finish plus or minus 2 within 2 games of its preseason win total?
32 teams, I'll say you get 2/3. So I'll say 20.
Last year it was only 12. Only 12 times we were within 2 games plus or minus of the win total. That total grew to 17 if I expanded the parameters to within 3. But I am right here. The Ravens, for instance, are what, 11.5, I think, going into this year. The official number would be 11.5. So 11.5, yeah, minus 125 to the over, plus 105 to the under. So 11.5 is your number, and we just built out a 10 to 13. So that is inside that 2 on either side. Only a dozen times out of 32 last year. So that's all a long-winded way of saying maybe this bet isn't as smart as I think it is.
I think I told you yesterday, or maybe Saturday with Brady. I like this. All right, this is just got me. When we talked about this, I think we talked about this. I want to say the Sunday before the All-Star break. All right, when you and I were doing IGL, and I knew I was going to have a couple of days free. Right, it's the All-Star break, so I had that Wednesday and Thursday free, and I started diving into this a different way. About looking at every team. It's like, okay, what do I think their lowest possible win total could be? And what do I think their highest possible win total could be? And how many, and then taking it and then see what the number is. And I wrote them all down. How many times can I get plus money out of this? Because I kind of like that better than just, you mentioned taking the Ravens 11.5. That's it. That's all you're getting. No other options there. And then going one way or the other here. Now, when it came to taking a straight where you're not looking at any other win totals, like 11.5, I generally wanted to be 2 games where when I look, okay, I think they're going to win 9. Okay, I'm going to take the under then. I think they're going to win 13. Okay, I'm going to take the over. If it was going to be, like I said, the total's 11.5, it was 10, 11, or 12, not touching it. Too close to call here. But when I looked at this, one thing I discovered is all the good teams don't like it, that we think are going to be good, or the great teams is what I should say. The Buffaloes, the Baltimores, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Detroit, teams like that didn't like what I was getting here because those teams could win 13, 14 games, which means I got to raise that total. Now my number is terrible. It's not good. I'm not going to do it here. And if the terrible team, same thing. You're not getting a good number here because the terrible team might win 2 games, might win 3 games. So I didn't like them. I think we have to look at the middling teams. They can be good teams, but not great. They could be bad teams, but not terrible. We need to look at the middling teams that we think are going to win around between 7 and 10 games. Those are the teams I think we need to concentrate on. Those are the numbers that I like. Are we going to get burned? Of course we are. There'll be every year it seems like there's a team that goes from last to first, right? And we'll get that. We'll be betting against them. Okay, this is the year. They got lucky. There'll be teams that have injuries. And, a good team, they got injuries. Now they're terrible, and they can't win a game because their quarterback got hurt and they're playing Joe Schmo at quarterback and they're never going to win again. So there are going to be situations like that. But for the most part, I like the numbers we're getting here, and we generally have a 3 or 4 game cushion, right? I mean, it's not like we have to do with 2 games or 1 game. We generally got 4 games of cushion here. Where if I just get inside that 4 games, I'm a winner. I just like the fact that we're getting plus money on some of these.
So let's refine our sample size then. If we want to take away the really bad teams and we want to take away the really good teams, again, perceived bad, perceived good, and attack those middling teams, how are we defining that? We'll compare it to last year. Are we defining that like 7.5, 8.5, 9.5 win total, something like that? Preseason win total. Like what are you labeling it with?
Well, generally, I think they're very easy. Who do you think your Super Bowl teams are? That's how I would define the great teams. I mentioned Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, Detroit, Philadelphia. There's a couple other teams in there. Those teams I'm eliminating. I'm not going to go with those. And then what teams do you think could be in the market for the first overall draft pick? All right, I'm not Tennessee again. The Giants. Okay. I think the Giants are better, but their schedule is brutal. So I think they can just plummet and win 3 or 4 games. So I'm taking out teams like that. Teams I just don't think are going to be very good at all. I'm not touching them because it's too low. So there's about 22 teams. Fine, I'm good with that. I'm not saying I'm going to bet all 22. We're all going to have different parameters of what we like or different numbers that we want or different feelings on it. But that's where my base is. I'm taking out about 10 teams. Most of them are really good teams more than they're really bad ones. I don't think they're really all that many terrible teams, but there's certainly a few out there that I want nothing to do with.
So I'll tell you, look at it last year. If I put it in the 7.5 to 8 to 9.5 range, something like that. Jets were 9.5. Obviously, that's a loser. They landed on 5. The Dolphins were 9.5. That would be a winner. They got 8. The Browns were 8.5. They got 3. The Steelers were 8.5. They got 10. So that's a couple of winners. Texans were 9.5. Got 10. Jaguars were 8.5. Only 4. That's a loss. The Colts 8.5. Landed on 8. That would be a win. Chargers 8.5. Landed at 11, obviously, overachieved, so that would be a loss. That's just the AFC. We could look at the NFC as well if we want to on the other side, but you get the idea. Narrows the gap just a little bit. It's an interesting exercise. I would be curious to know which teams really do jump out at George in that middle of the pack. We'll explore.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know know, sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups. My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
In-game live game day here with Kurtz, Kaufman with you, and talking a little NFL and just strategizing the futures market, basically creating win bands on FanDuel, these win ranges, parlays that you can bet. Same team, not same game, but same team parlays for win totals. Give yourself a range of, again, as an example, Baltimore Ravens, 10 to 13 wins, a team that, maybe you want to, the other part of it too, where you can mess with the odds a little bit is, you don't have to give yourself that sort of most careful, average it out kind of range that's, again, in the vicinity of minus 120, minus 125. If you just have high expectations for a team, I could, create again, I don't have 10.5. I wish I did. But if I just love Baltimore this year, George, I could create something that's, over 11.5 and under 13.5, right? To me, the Ravens are winning 12 or 13 games, something like that. And, at that point in time, I'm getting plus 220 on that bet. Now you're getting very specific and obviously, removing at least 1 degree of range from the bet. Instead of 3 possibilities, you're getting 2. But that's how you create some of those plus money opportunities. But you said you don't want the really good teams, the Super Bowl contenders, maybe even the division favorites. You don't want the really bad teams that are chasing that number 1 overall pick that might be actively tanking by the second half of the season. You want the middling teams that, ironically enough, we don't totally know what to expect from. So I went back, I looked at last year, teams that had 7.5, 8.5, 9.5 preseason win totals. They went 7-7 in terms of creating that 3-game win band, teams that finished inside 2 wins of that number, winning or losing. So who going into this new season would jump out at you?
Well, you know what? Once again, if we look at all these teams, by the way, I think you can get more than a 3-game window. All right. Because I've been able to get to some 4-game windows here. It just comes down to what are you comfortable with? Right. Maybe it won't be plus money also. Maybe you have to play a little negative money. But it's the same negative money you might be playing on something else anyway. And it's not nasty, Nick, because I don't go over pretty much minus 160. Anything minus 160, unless I think it's a mortal lock, I'm not going to bet it here. You take let's just take, for instance, take the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm a Cowboy fan. I certainly don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl team, but I certainly don't think they're going to plummet either. Now, one thing we haven't mentioned, by the way, Adam, is that FanDuel sort of takes away the obvious choices. All right, they take away,
yes.
Like for the Cowboys, you don't have 6.5. All right, you can't just take over 6.5 wins here. You either got to go 5.5 or 7.5. And if you go 5.5, it's minus 370. And you go under 11.5 wins, which is minus 950. You're only getting minus 211, which is we're not betting that. So we're going to have to either, do we think the Cowboys can get, 10 wins? Are we going to go that direction? I think they could, or do we think they're a 500 team or less? Because then we can, if we make it where it's 9 wins or less.
To your point, you don't have 10.5 either. You don't have 6.5. You don't have 10.5.
Right. They
Those are
take
2 very
the
important
obvious.
numbers.
They take away the obvious for every team. It's a game you're playing here. It was, which is why this was so much fun. And when I was yelling at you, during the break, you did this to me. All right, you put me down a rabbit hole. I feel like I'm battling with FanDuel to find the right ones you like here. And but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun here. But if you like that, all of a sudden we're at minus 102 for the Cowboys. Pretty much even money to get between 6 wins and 9. And that sounds very doable to me. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 4. Now you got a 4 little gap there. And I think the Cowboys, listen, Dak could get hurt again. We can say this about every team, by the way.
Sure.
That this guy could get hurt. But if he stays healthy, he's generally good in the regular season. More than 6 wins is doable. The schedule is rough here, so I don't think they're getting double-digit wins. But I think they'll be in the wild card contention there, which is generally around 9 wins. So I kind of like this bet for the Cowboys between 6 and 9 wins, and we can play that game as well. Not everything is going to be between 2 and 3. I got the Cowboys at 4. A 4-game margin here. So that's another little game we're playing here. But like I said, it's very intriguing to find the right team you want. The deal with FanDuel, what the numbers they're taking away from you, and getting the what number can you live with to bet on.
Not to overcomplicate this for you, George, but just to give you another option, I can't imagine this is something that you haven't thought of on your own, but I will bring it up here since we haven't discussed it. You could also add layers of variance, get a little greedy, but also create cushion in another way, like you've got your Dallas situation. Let's throw in New England. Now, I'm high on the Patriots this year. I think they're a playoff team. We've talked about what a joke that schedule is. If Drake May and Mike Vrabel are what we believe them to be, and Josh McDaniels as well, and who knows what Stephon Diggs, but that defense, all of it, let's just say the Patriots are a team that doesn't win the division, but at least flirts with a wild card berth. You could make it a 2-teamer and create more range for yourself. I could do both of these teams, Dallas and New England, over 5.5 wins, under 11.5 wins. I have given myself a 6 to 11, 5-win range for both of these teams. And if you put them together, George, then you do get plus money. I'm looking at plus 108.
I actually love where you're going with this. All right, because of what you're doing, we were able to up the win total. Get to 11.5 now. I don't think either team's winning 12 games, okay? And I don't think either team's bad enough once again, without getting an injury. I don't think either team's bad enough to get 5. They both should.
Right.
I mean, you and I went through a schedule. We did this in in-game live. New England has got, by the way, an excellent defense, probably top 5 in the league here. They'll be in games here. And as you said, Drake May, and I may not be the biggest believer in May, but I don't think he's terrible. I think he's at least average. And if he does make that next step, they get 8 wins easy, and probably more than that. So yes, I love the way you're going with this. Where we can parlay these two teams together. And like I said, because we're parlaying, we'll be able to up that win total for the Cowboys and New England. So we know they're not winning 12. All right, it's not going to happen. Love where you're going with this. I think it's a very smart thing to do.
Well, just a matter of how much money you want to tie up in futures playing with this stuff, because we didn't talk about it, George. And I know we got a break, but you do get outliers. Every year you get outliers, injuries or underperformance or whatever. Last year, Browns were 8.5. They won 3 games. Jaguars were 8.5. They won 4. The Titans were 6.5. They won 3. The Bears 8.5, 5. The Eagles 10.5. They won 14. Lions 10.5, won 15. Outliers all over the place.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single-season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm like praising the Lord. Win a parlay. Come on. You're allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather, it's okay if you hit a parlay, yes. But if you win the match, no. The player can't do that. The bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
TJ Watt going to the bank.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then in the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, George, how many of these teams you want to parlay together? That's the question, right? That's where things start to get sticky icky. Again, like a team I didn't even bring up, the Niners, 11.5, all the injuries they had, only won 6 games. So that's really, if you're going to do this and you like it, I like it. But if someone out there is going to do this, the really almost impossible part, because we don't have a crystal ball, we don't have that gray sports almanac from Back to the Future 2, a movie that I suspect Joe also hasn't seen. You need to be able to identify the problem spots, and I don't know how we go about doing that.
I just love that we're still throwing Joe Madden under the bus here. I mean, poor Joe. All right, she's on all the shows tonight, and we're still killing it because she hasn't watched this. Listen, you look at the Niners alone here, and this is one of my favorites, by the way. All right, once again, a straight bet. And by the way, you also brought up a very interesting question before we went to break here. How much of your money do you want to tie up here? How much of your bankroll? You know, it's easier said than done. I'm generally around 20%, but I always go over because we always find stuff we like. And this is what I mean when I say I blame you. This is why, because I like this a lot, and I want to bet more of this. But for the 49ers here, over 6.5, under 10.5 is plus money, plus 134. I think it's the under 10.5. People think this is still a very good team. They have injuries up the wazoo. Brandon Ayuk is probably not playing in September. This is not the same offensive line they used to have here. And we don't know what Christian McCaffrey is going to do. I'm assuming he'll be fine this year, but, you told me he's going to play 17 games. Not happening here. And I'm not, all that sold on the quarterback either. So I like, this is one of my favorites. Once again, I got 7, 8, 9. I got a 4-game margin here at plus money. I'm taking this.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at it now. Again, I'm not actually placing this bet in this moment, but I keep sort of adding to the slip for fun. And if you threw in the Niners over 6.5 and took the under 12.5, jump up past that key number for this purpose, key number of 11.5 that's not available to you, and go under 12.5, coupled with what we already gave you on the Cowboys and Patriots, now you're looking at plus 215 or so. So, you can, and again, that's another one with a massive range of 7 to 12 for a Niners team that I don't know. I'm inclined to agree with you. If I was just doing this on a straight and looking for a plus money, I would take that minus 115 and go under 10.5. I don't think the Niners, I haven't done like my deep exploration into San Francisco just yet, as I have with some of these other teams, but surface value based on all the injury concerns, guys they've lost. I'm not huge on Brock Purdy to begin with. Yeah, I don't think this team gets to 10 wins. I don't.
Same here. I said we haven't talked about ones that I've already bet beforehand as far as straight. But I already have the under on the San Francisco 49ers. I think they could be a playoff team. There are a lot of teams in the NFC that could be a playoff team, but I don't think they win the division. I said too many injuries here. I think their window, by the way, closed as far as Super Bowl is concerned here. So I don't think they're going to be doing any that damage. But this is one of my favorite straight bets here. And like I said, I love the range we just found out here, plus 134. Like I said, it's one of my favorites that we're going to be able to find here and bet. It's a bet I've already placed as well. So I really need the 49ers to not be great this year.
So we, I didn't leave a lot of time for this because honestly, it's not that big a deal. Apologies to Will Levis's family if he's listening. But Will Levis, this is the news out of the NFL today, that he is elected to have season-ending surgery, suffered an AC joint injury while diving for a first down against Miami all the way back on September 30th. Apparently, over the summer and in OTAs and whatnot, the injury has just not felt better. So he has decided to have season-ending surgery, which really just makes official what everyone suspected anyway, George, which is that rookie Cam Ward, first overall pick, is going to be the starter for this team. And maybe Will Levis, maybe this is a little bit of ego here. He didn't want to actively be on the sidelines backing up Cam Ward and, knowing that that is what his role has been relegated to. So we've, I think, seen the last of him in a Titans uniform, because I think after this surgery and recovery, he's going to be a free agent.
I would assume, and when I heard the story today, I'm like, wow, that's interesting timing. He waited until training camp was about to open, and then he's not going to play. And I said it could be true. Maybe he thought it would recover, it would heal. He went through OTAs. It didn't. Maybe the Titans doctors told him, now it'll be okay in a month. It'll be okay. And now he has to worry about his future because, as you said, it's not going to be with the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, something to explore. But again, this is a Tennessee team that, look, I don't think you're going to get a Jaden Daniels Commanders-like season out of Tennessee and Cam Ward. I think this is maybe Bryce Young, Carolina year one. Maybe not quite that bad.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single-season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm like praising the Lord. Win a parlay. Come on. They're allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather, it's okay if you hit a parlay, yes. But if you win the match, no. The player can't do that, the bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
TJ Watt going to the bank.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then in the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Back with George, Adam here with you. We are in-game live game day in for Sports Rage this entire week, 10 to midnight Eastern time with our East Coast bias, both of us in the Northeast. We appreciate you hanging out with us. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, and hopefully you are finding that if you are watching or listening, be it Sirius XM channel 159 on SportsGrid Radio or SportsGrid TV, however, among the many ways that you are electing to consume us. And while we're throwing things out, how about social media? SportsGrid and SportsGrid TV Twitter accounts. You can find us there and get us on social media as well. I am on Twitter, Adam M. Kaufman. George is there at George Kurtz. So, George, just to peek back in on Major League Baseball, I know we've been doing a lot of football the last half hour and playing around in the futures market, but we do have a few games that are still in progress on the diamond. One has turned into a blowout, and ironically, it was the one that was scoreless forever. Brewers are now up 6-0 in Seattle. That one is bottom 8, all but over, I would say. The Mariners have made 2 errors in that game, by the way. Dodgers continue to lead the Twins 3-1. A home run out of Shohei Ohtani, another out of Will Smith. That one is top 6, so cash the first 5 for the Dodgers if you had it. Some of us still need the money line or even the run line. So just looking for the Dodgers to keep doing what they are doing, obviously. And top 7, Arizona not dead yet, but Houston is, anytime the Diamondbacks have an answer, the Astros respond. It is now 6-3. Houston is up in Arizona and with a man on as well, top 7.
Yeah, I kind of want to hit this game for another in-game over. Joe Madden said earlier, the Arizona bullpen sucks. Right, it's bad. It's a dumpster fire. All right, I mean it's truly. Listen, the Diamondbacks, the Atlanta Braves, the Yankees to an extent, these bullpens are bad, and we can attack them in game as far as overs are concerned here. So it's something I want to hit. I have not hit it yet, and I guess I'm not going to do it because Altuve just about to do a double play. So thank you, Jose. You made that a little easier for me here. So probably not going to do that, but. Seriously, in general, these are bullpens you want to attack. All right, you saw it over the weekend with the Yankees, the Braves. They don't have anybody. All right, Diamondbacks are the same way. The Yankees have closers, but nobody in that 6, 7, 8 range. And they have guys who, let's face it, their starters aren't going deep into the game. Schlittler, the rookie's pitching tomorrow. And Adam, what can we expect? 5 innings? 6 at most? Then you're going to get that soft underbelly for the Yankees there, and that's where we can hit them.
Yeah, over 10.5 now in the Astros Diamondbacks game is your number, and that is -160, which is, as you've talked about, that's just about your threshold. So -160 to the over in that one going bottom 7. So you only need 2 more runs out of this game.
I like it. I really like it. It's the number that's bothering me a little bit. I think here's the way to play this. How about we wait and see if we get an out or 2? It'll come down. You get 1 out, it's probably going to be in the 140s.
Yeah, juice will come down.
Right, so I'm going to wait for it to come down a little bit here to get to a more manageable number. Obviously, there's danger involved. For all I know, it's going to be a leadoff home run. You've mentioned the Diamondbacks seem to come back every time, right, and make it a more interesting game. But I think that's the way I'm going to hit this. All right, I'm going to wait a little bit to get a better number than 160.
That makes sense. In this Dodgers-Twins game, Dustin May is in relief of Shohei Ohtani. Came in as we pretty much expected him to for the 4th inning and beyond. We'll see how long he pitches, but so far so good. Couple of scoreless innings, and he's out there now for the 6th. There is a man on second, albeit with 2 out in that inning, so 1 out away from getting out of the jam, obviously. But how do you feel about the Dodgers going forward? And I don't necessarily mean investing in them now. You're not going to invest in the money line at -1100, and you're, even on the run line, you're getting a considerable juice because they're up by 2, and we're already talking about this being in the 6th. But, going forward, anything that does stand out to you here?
Well, you got 2 choices. If you want to take the run line, which the Dodgers winning by 2.5, you got to get it now while that runner's on second base, since Toby doesn't score here, right? And we'll get a better price there. If you want the over, which is probably what I'm looking at, you're probably waiting, once again, -1. It just jumped up here. Did something happen that I didn't see yet? No.
3rd out.
Oh, the inning's over. That's what happened here. Yep. All right, so it was at 7.5. It went down to 6.5. I kind of want to take the over here. I wanted at 7.5. That one was a much better price than -146. So it depends on what you're going for here. I kind of like the run line. For the Dodgers attack on another run, it's still only -104. They have 3 more at bats coming. All right, so
well, I will remind you. I know you know this, but I'll remind you that you can. FanDuel gives us what it gives us. The algorithm is producing numbers and putting them in front, but you can always dive into the game and play around with the alt market. Like, you can still go over 7.5 in this one. It's +146.
Yeah, very, very true. Sometimes don't have time to do that while we're on the show. But yeah, the alt lines, so you get any number you want, right? Just however, how you want to go. I don't think it's going to be a wild scoring game, by the way. So I certainly wouldn't go any higher than 7.5. If you're going to do, I think it's going to be 8.5, 9.5. Yeah, once again, it is tough to trust the Dodgers offense, and nothing's changed. All right, they're winning tonight, but it's 3-1. And I actually thought they'd score more runs tonight, Adam. I really thought this would be an easier win, and I would have to sweat this out like we are doing here. So that alone could be enough reason for you not to take it over. We should be happy. Take you on the money line. I'm on the run line. Hopefully this score sticks. We take this and run. All right, now, which, by the way, I would do. Because to be honest with you, if I wasn't doing the show, I probably wouldn't be thinking about taking any of these bets. But because we're doing the show and I'm a little jazzed here and maybe a little angry, things haven't gone my way in the later evening games, I'm trying to think of a way to make up for it. So that could be a way to go as well here. I am looking at the 2 runs, 2.5 at -104. I think that's where I'm going to go with. Hopefully the Dodgers can tack on another run.
I know we haven't spent much time so far looking ahead to the Tuesday slate, but we have talked about streak betting, obviously. And as things stand right now, George, and you mentioned for you, the key number is more 4 than it is 3. So let's use that. Blue Jays have won 4 straight. They play, obviously, tomorrow. The White Sox have won 4 straight in action tomorrow. That's it for the American League. Over in the National League, you have the Brewers sitting at, 10 straight wins. It'll be 11 in all likelihood when tonight concludes. You have 6 straight losses out of the Giants, 4 straight wins for the Diamondbacks, but that obviously could come to an end tonight. Looks like it probably will, so maybe we remove them. But that's still a half dozen or 5 spots that you could blind bet tomorrow with that rule of 4 one way or the other. Are all of these appealing spots to you?
Yeah, they actually. I mean, once again, we'll start with Toronto. I've already said several times. I'm betting them tomorrow, right? And Scherzer, by the way, his last start against the Yankees, he didn't go long, but he pitched very well against them. So I'll take my chances that works out again. I don't think we get a lot of runs in that game tomorrow. So I think Schiller, whatever, is going to pitch okay. So I wouldn't take the over in that game, but I'm definitely on Toronto there. You mentioned the Giants. Once again, going up against Atlanta. I mean, it's Root versus, I don't even know who the other Braves guy is. It doesn't matter. He's not very good. So I'll be taking that. Probably taking the over in that game as well, by the way. 9.5 plus 100. And that's a game, by the way, once again, Braves bullpen, terrible. Attack the in-game there, especially if it's a lower scoring beginning there. We can go up against the Braves here. Did you mention the Tigers not winning any games? I know it's Detroit, Casey Mines versus Keller,
It's not a streak anymore, though. Just a 1-game skid for them. Schoolbowl's the stopper.
They did win, but you know what? I don't know if I count Schoolbowl. School beats everybody, But I think I would have liked this anyway. I think I would have liked this game anyway. I was hoping more than plus 120 for Pittsburgh, to tell you the truth. I thought we might get a better price, and it could be one of Keller's last starts for Pittsburgh. I do not believe he'll be there come to our trade deadline. I think he'll certainly be with the new team there, so that's what I'm going to like as well. The others you mentioned, we think those streaks are coming to an end tonight, which they likely are.
White Sox? White Sox
No,
5th straight win?
I don't want to hear about the way.
Martin against Rasmussen?
No. I'm not. No. If anything, I would probably go higher on Tampa. Can't keep losing, right? I know they're playing poorly. What is that number? Why don't I see it?
Let's see. Might not be posted yet. It's possible it's not. I don't see it either.
I guess it's not.
Might not just.
Oh,
yeah, I don't think it's up yet. Dodgers, by the way, up 4-1. Just to for anyone that did get in on the minus 2.5 when that was even money or even slightly plus money. Now,
Will Smith again.
How about that?
How about
Will Smith? I'm trying to resist the getting jiggy with a joke. But there it is. It's there. I'm sorry. I did it.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single-season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm like praising the Lord. Win a parlay? Come on. We are allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather, it's okay if you hit a parlay, yes. But if you win the match, no. The player can't do that, the bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
T.J. Watt going to the bank.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then in the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
In-game live game day here on Sports Grid with George Kurtz, Adam Kaufman. We are looking ahead to what we have in front of us on the diamond tomorrow. Again, no day baseball. That'll come up on Wednesday. That's always fun. We'll be able to preview that about 24 hours from now. But right now, of course, we're looking ahead to Tuesday's slate, George. And look, I asked you about streak betting and what jumps out to you, and you gave us some spots that you will kind of blindly rely upon, those that you might stay away from. But what about the rest of the slate where you're not influenced by 4-game winning or losing streaks? What's on the, I know you probably don't have anything in pocket quite yet, but the early perceived card, what jumps out?
More than likely going to have the Miami Marlins with Cabrera pitching. Once again, he could be making one of his last starts there for Miami. He's pitched generally well. He did come out of his last start. I believe it was against Baltimore early due to injury, but he's fine. Before that, he was pitching lights out here. So I think I'm going to go in on Cabrera. Not thrilled that it's even. -108 for both teams there. I would have liked a better price on Cabrera, but I think I'm going to back him again. Although, in all honesty, I backed him last time. Didn't work out well there. So that's going to be on my card here. Detroit, Pittsburgh, you already know that I like the Pirates tomorrow. I'm going to take the plus money there. We'll see what happens. Detroit, Baltimore, Cleveland here. Probably going the over with Young and Cantillo there. 8.5. Take a shot. Once again, small plays here. Cincinnati and Burns is going up against Washington Nationals. I think Cincinnati gets back. All right. It was a fun game tonight between these two teams, scoring runs left and right here. But I'm going to be on Cincinnati tomorrow there. Red Sox and Phillies. Hopefully we don't have to sweat it out tomorrow. I'll be on the Phillies again, but the run line here, I'm not laying 2-1, -198. Fitz is going for Boston, so we're going to be picking against him. You already know I like the Blue Jays here. Angels, Mets, Montas, Hendricks. Give me the Mets. Once again, it'll either be a parlay with the Mets or take the run line again here. But I'm feeling a little parlay with the Mets tomorrow. I think they're playing a little bit better here, and I think they destroy Hendricks. So I could take the Mets team total over as well. And I'm just feeling a home run heavy in this game. For the New York Mets. So it's going to be hot here in New York, so Bull's going to travel there. Maybe not Alonso because he's got the little thumb bruise there on the bottom, but maybe a little Juan Soto to go along here. Maybe Brandon Nemo, too. Just feeling some left-handers for the Mets hitting some home runs tomorrow.
So I'm just scanning the board. Again, the first thing that I always, just part of my process, I will always do kind of a cursory look at who's pitching. And before I even look at what the lines are, I look at the pitching matchup specifically. And if I am drawn to a first 5 play versus a full game play, and is there a heavy edge in terms of the pitcher? Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. For instance, Christopher Sanchez for Philadelphia, versus Dick Fitz on the other side there for the Red Sox. It's understandable that we're looking at a -200 for Philadelphia. But, in other spots, I think there are some interesting things to consider. Like, for instance, Reds at the Nationals. I was on Cincy today, didn't work out. But Washington, Lord is not great, but Lord on the mound with Chase Burns on the other side in a very limited sampling size has not pitched well. I'm intrigued by Lord at plus money for a first 5 bet. What do you think of that?
I think Washington sucks, and I'm not touching it. I don't touch them. All right, they were one of those teams we talked earlier. They were streaking bad for a while, right? They've sort of fixed it. Now they've won a smattering of games here and there. I was on the over in tonight's game, so I'll take that. Like I said, things went better for me earlier than they have late. I'm not going to bet on Washington. I can't do it. All right, this is not a good team. I understand you're right about Burns, but also, right now James Wood's not hitting home runs. For Washington, he's got some singles getting on base here, but he's not driving the ball anywhere. So you're relying on their secondary players to pull it out here. No, that's not going to be a play that I'm going to like. I think I'm going to the first 5. We have better opportunities than Washington, Cincinnati.
Well, another one to consider maybe. How about this Brewers-Mariners game? So it's a battle of perceived aces, maybe, at least in the conversation. Gilbert against the Phenom, the All-Star. Mizrowski, his first start out of the All-Star break. Seattle is a minus 125 favorite in this game. Mizrowski first five is something that would jump out at me. Not necessarily Milwaukee full game, but first five.
Freddie Freeman got thrown out at home plate by 1.5 miles. Nice throw by the left fielder there on the single. There was 2 outs, so they sent him automatically because it was 2 outs. But annoying that he got thrown out that easy. Got to give the next guy a chance there. Anyway, this should be another good pitching matchup tonight. All right, I'll likely take I think I'll take the over tomorrow. It's plus money here. I don't know how deep Mizrachi is going to go into this game here. So am I going to take the first 5? Who would you trust in the first 5? Both these guys are good. I mean, Mizrowski, I think, is going to be better in the first couple of innings. All right. I mean, Seattle's not scoring any runs here. At least I hope they didn't score any runs. And Gilbert's good at himself here. Once again, this is not a first 5 that I would like with 2 good pitchers here, because which side would you land on? Once again, I don't feel great about one team or the other.
I would land on Mizrowski. That's where I would go in a first 5 play.
Gilbert's
I don't know about full game.
But Gilbert could shut him down too. No, I'm already on Milwaukee for the game because of the streaking thing. If this wasn't a streaking thing with Milwaukee, I probably wouldn't bet this game. I would probably leave it alone here because, once again, Gilbert's good, Mizrowski's good. It's sort of a 50-50 game, coin flip, but I don't like doing that. I will because, once again, we'll be on this game tomorrow talking about it. But I think tomorrow I will take the over in this contest because, once again, generally when over is a 7, when total is a 7 or lower, I automatically take that.
You mentioned the Angels and Mets, and, with the Mets being as heavily favored as they are, right around minus 175, I don't think, and Hendricks isn't good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's not like Montas has pitched well since his return. So that could be another, I don't know if I want to go all the way to the Angels full game. Again, I think first 5 if I was going to play anything there.
Now, I can get behind you here, all right, with the Mets first 5. This is what Montas has been decent, by the way. Not great, but he's been decent. Only 1 earned run in his last start against Kansas City, 4 against the Yankees. He did get blown up by Pittsburgh, when 0 against Atlanta. So he's almost 50-50. Hendricks, for a long time this season, was literally the worst major league pitcher by analytics. He's gotten better. He can't get much worse than that, right? But he's gotten better. But I still don't trust him at all here. I think the Mets are going to beat the snot out of him tomorrow. I just do. I think Montas will pitch it decently well. That being said, the Angels aren't a bad team. And they gave the Mets a little fright. The Angels probably should have won this game tonight. They really threw it away to the Mets. But thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. I was on the Mets.
Likewise, I was on the Mets as well.
Yeah, so thank you, Angels, because that's one of those games where I always counted it as a loss, Adam. I thought the game was over.
Yeah, I might go the other way tomorrow. I might. At least first 5 anyway. Back with George.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
The tennis players are just the worst. They're just the worst.
I do that after I get a parlay. I'm falling to the ground. I'm excited. I'm praising the Lord. Win a parlay. Come on. We're allowed to celebrate.
I'd rather. It's okay if you hit a parlay, yes, but if you win the match, no. The player can't do that. The bettor can. It's as simple as that.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
T.J. Watt going to the bank.
I don't remember the last time he had a sack in the last month of that season. And then in the playoffs, he did absolutely nothing. And then you're going to give him $41 million a year, $123 million, what, 108 guaranteed million guaranteed?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with George for, unfortunately, just a few more minutes. But I guess the upside of that, George, is we are here on In Game Live all week long from 10 to midnight Eastern. So we'll have a ton of baseball to react to, in-game bet, look ahead, preview, all of that stuff across the entire week. And, obviously with training camps getting underway across the league, more and more football news to come out that will be more interesting than that of the Will Levis, essential walkaway from the Tennessee Titans. So I'm just excited about that. Brady Cannon and I have been doing so much football over the course of these weekend shows the last couple of weeks, going game by game, team by team, rather, across the NFL and previewing. And so great of the SportsGrid social team to get those clips up, obviously, whether on Twitter or on the SportsGrid YouTube page. If you missed those interviews, you can check them out in full. We've already done incomplete the AFC West. We have done most of the AFC North as well. And it's fascinating insights from our guests with boots on the ground in these different cities. And it makes me, I didn't quite realize, I don't know if you're wired the same way. Like, summer's great. I'm not wishing away time. I love the summer, and especially us being in the Northeast, I love the weather. But man, from a content standpoint, it hits another gear when football gets here. And it's even just talking about football gets me excited in a way that, 4-hour baseball shows do not.
Now, I love baseball. All right, it's very romantic.
I love baseball too, but it's not the same.
For me, it's more personal to me. My father, but the only thing my father and I ever agreed on was the Yankees. All right, he passed 30-something years ago. So baseball always held a special place in my heart. As you said, though, which I completely agree with, I do not want to rush football season to get here. Adam and I do live in the Northeast. It's a little cold here in the winter. Maybe not as cold as some other places to our Canadian friends, but it's cold here. And I like the weather. I like going outside and not have to worry about what I'm going to wear. I'm going to give my dog a walk immediately after this show, and I'm taking off this sweater and going out there with a T-shirt. I like that. Where in the winter I got to wear, my kids get scared of all the stuff I'm wearing. I get hit by a car and I wouldn't get hurt because I'm wearing all the layers out there. So football drives our industry. All right. It does. But I got one thing about football. I got to tell you, man, the Cowboys aren't winning anytime soon. I mean, the Jerry Jones is like, I texted, almost a tweet. I texted a friend of mine, also a Cowboy fan. And I'm like, I think I feel worse about the Cowboys now than at any time, just maybe the late 80s, when that's when Landry was still there and they were terrible. And then when Jerry Jones took over, in the late 90s when they were bad, but at least I felt that there was some hope. But you hear Jerry Jones, the things he says now, it's like, you got to be kidding me. Really? You're tweaking your two best players in Dak and Mike. And I don't even like Dak, but still he's a good player. And you may about them getting hurt and stuff. I was like, what are we doing here? So it's just it's very hard here, with the Cowboys. But we love football. There is nothing like a football Sunday, Adam. Nothing like a football Sunday when those games are coming here. Okay, what games am I going to watch on what screen here? Got to get all the bets in. I'm a fantasy player. Got to get all my fantasy lineup set up and all that other stuff. Nothing like it. But then again, I got to deal with the Philadelphia Eagles on opening night. Probably not going to be a good week one for me.
Do you do best ball as well, in addition to all of your fantasy?
Best ball's easy. You draft, you're done. It's the easiest way to do it. And I don't even pay attention to half the year because there's nothing I can do. I can't change anything. Now look how things were at the end here. But yes, and I don't even. By the way, when I say how many fantasy leagues I play in, I don't count best ball. When I say I'm playing in 8 fantasy leagues, those are leagues where I have to make moves and free agent acquisitions and stuff like that. So best ball, you don't. But yes, best ball is the easiest way. You draft, you're done.
we could have such a long conversation about this. We won't, obviously, right now. It probably wouldn't appeal to a lot of, well, it would appeal to our audience because they're a bunch of degenerates out there like we are. But when it comes to fantasy, like if you're in 8 leagues, I mean, surely there are 1 or 2 that you care about more than the others. So like, are there, some that just sort of skate by while much of your focus goes to the other ones?
Of course. I mean, I played a couple leagues where I've been playing them forever, but they're no money. All right, don't care about those as much as the others. The league I play in some high money leagues, but the league I care about as more than anything, which is decent money but not high money, is the home leagues. Yeah, I want to beat the snot out of my friends like everybody else. I want to beat my brother. I play in another home league. I want to beat the guys. My home league fantasy, by the way, my fantasy home league, which I'm the commissioner of, this will be year 1237 since 1988.
Wow, you can play. That's amazing. That was back when you had to write everything down.
I have loose leaf notebooks upstairs from each year until computers took over.
That's amazing.
You're erasing
that's
everything.
So great. Our thanks to Tommy, to Patrick, to AJ, to Chris. Obviously, Joe Madden joined us. For George Kurtz, I'm Adam Kaufman. In-game live game day in place of Sports Rage all week. We will have you. Talk to you again.